What's up, people? It's your boy Perfection. Don't try to be right, strive to be righteous. I'm back again here with another video. So this is basically continuing on from the previous video, because in the beginning, ages ago, I did a video called The Power of Positivity, and in that video I mentioned a little bit about emotions. Like I said, I had a cat. She's outside now, but I had a cat that sometimes loves too much. You know, like when we first had her, if I was going into the toilet, she'd try and come into the toilet. If I was going outside, she'd run down the street trying to chase me down the street. If I was crossing the road, it got to a point where it was a little bit dangerous. So this is continuing on from the previous one as well. Just before I get into this one, I want to continue on with the whole emotions thing. Just add a few that I missed out on. First one, what I just described, would be maybe the feelings of love. If you don't love someone enough, again, that can be classed as something that's like apathetic. You fail to love something or someone. That comes very closely to narcissism. You're unable to love someone. Really, the only person you love really would most likely be, although that's not always the case, but sometimes the only person they really love is themselves. They fail to love other people, can only love themselves. Kind of heads towards narcissism, although there are people out there that can't love at all, and that may head towards kind of maybe reckless, suicidal. Too much love, again, aims towards things like jealousy. If you love someone too much, like with my cat, although it's a cat, you know, but I've been on this side of a partner. My ex-girlfriend, going back a while ago, loved too much, and it led to obsession. You know, it got to a point where, and this is the God's honest truth, that when I was walking the streets, I had to have my head down, because if I had my head up, she would say, "Oh, you're looking at that girl, you're looking at this." And when I'm driving a car, and as you know, if you're driving the car, if anyone has ever passed a driving test, you have to be observant, you have to be aware of hazards and everything else, people crossing the road. She's telling me, oh, I saw you looking at that girl at the bus stop in the red t-shirt and the blue shoes. You know, it got to a point where it was crippling me. So when you got someone around you that loves too much, and it becomes maybe some sort of obsession for them, it can be crippling. One thing I missed out on in the previous video was guilt. If you don't experience any guilt, again, that leads slightly towards narcissism, sociopath, psychopath, that kind of thing there. If you don't experience any guilt, and you'll find that these people are at the heads of most organizations, because they have to make the toughest decision. They have to be able to fire 200 people at the drop of a dime and not really care. They have to go, you know, they go home, they sleep, and, you know, it had to be done, so it's done. It's as simple as that. That's no guilt. They're more like they're at the head of most organizations, so they play their role. Definitely suffer from mental health, but they're go-getters. A lot of divas are like that. I'm not going to mention their names, but a lot of divas in the music industry have that kind of mentality as well. Ride or die, or not so much ride or die, but get rich or die trying kind of mentality. And if there's casualties on the way, then so be it. It's just how it is, you know. Too much guilt. Too much guilt is the worst thing you can ever go through, is too much guilt. I myself sometimes experience that. Unable to sleep at night. I need to I'll look at something and say, the way I spoke to that woman today, I shouldn't have said this, or I shouldn't have said that. I'm questioning everything that I'm doing, and it's actually using energy. That's another video that I'll get into anyway. It burns a lot of energy, because I'm thinking about things really that I shouldn't be thinking of, but I feel overwhelmed with something I may have said. I'm unable to sleep at night until I rectify it. Major guilt. And then which brings us in, and I'm not going to go through too much more, but that kind of brings us to where we are at. Then there's something like loneliness, and that brings us into this video that we're about to do now. Loneliness, that emotion or feeling, the feeling of loneliness. But before we get into that, we'll do one more. We'll do anxiety. You know, what happens when you feel anxiety? You walk into a room and you suddenly feel like, you know, being around people is too much. Maybe you feel they're all talking about you at the same time. You know, you're trying to sit down at a bar or whatever, and you feel like everyone's talking about you, and there's this overwhelming feeling like, you know, I don't want to be here. I can't stay in this situation. And too much anxiety. If you never felt anxiety, you'd almost feel like you were Superman, invincible, really. You'd feel super confident if you never felt anxious about anything. But now let's get into the whole loneliness. Right, this leads us to this video, loneliness, because it gets all of us. Right, so I did a video on the incels versus MGTOW, and I talked about a word that was a label that was put on men by women, involuntary celibacy, right? So I kept thinking to myself, well, what about the flip side of that? What about women? And I thought of when I was younger. What about when there was younger girls? When I was young, say 16, 17, when there was girls out there that no guy actually took them seriously. And it ties into my previous video that I just done, actually. So the one before this, which was let me think now, emotions versus willpower. It ties into that because some of these women, not all of them, were so badly damaged by childhood trauma. I kept on thinking of the song Brenda's Got a Baby, where Tupac mentioned, I think it was her stepdad or father or someone, I think it was a stepdad, wasn't it, that impregnated this girl, and then the mother, I think, kicked her out. I can't remember the song. It's a long time since I listened to it. But the point I'm trying to make is, when I was, say, 16, 17, there were a lot of girls that no guy would really touch. They were broken. We focus on the incel men that are damaged. But like I said, I'm a realist. It's all about being real. And like I said, it was never about me disliking women, / hating women or anything like that. It's about being real. What about these women? What about women that were 16, 17 that were damaged by some childhood trauma? They couldn't get over it. They're extremely lonely. Guys are walking up to them pretending. Any guy that shows them attention, they do whatever that guy says. Obviously, that leads to them being used by these guys. Okay, then these guys they pump and dump them. What then happens to some of these women, and which leads us to this whole point of this video. I was trying to fit this video into one video, but I might have to go into two, guys, because it's important. But I try to explain it all to you so you understand it, you get the gist of it. Right, so what happens to some of these girls is that they get to, say, 20, 21, some of them, maybe 22, and then they decide, I want to have a baby. I want someone to love me. And I want to give love to that child, the kind of love that I never received. And I'm going to make sure that child has this and it has the world and blah 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 and blah 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 blah. And that's what this video leads to. Is it okay? Is it okay when that woman suddenly says to herself, I'm going to have a child, and I don't care whether the father's there? They've got a whole bunch of guys by now that are pumping dumping them. No guy staying with them. No guy even wants to acknowledge that they are even having some sort of sexual relationship with them. Okay, it's all done discreetly. This goes back to their childhood. Again, just like Brenda's got a baby, it could be something that happened or neglect. I gave you the reasons as to why my children can be broken in the last video. Maybe they were like one of 7 kids, and you know, the dad never loved all of the others but refused to love them. They were always the problem child, and they were always shouted at, told they were nothing. And now they've grown up, and you know, they're seeking a father, role model, whatever, and that's turned into now they want to be they want to have a child. Is it okay for that girl to then bring a life into the world knowing that these men aren't going to be there? Is it okay? Okay, now, and this is something that I wanted to say before we get into that. Now, there's 2 types of women. There's the broken one, but then there's also women out there where children are some sort of trophy to them. Look at my I don't even want to say this, but it's true. Even in some cases, it's look at my mixed race child, man. Look at this. Wow, yeah, look, wow, it's mixed race. Wow. You know, it's fashionable to them. Some celebrities taking on children, it's fashion. Okay, it's some sort of a joke to them. Is it okay? Now, those women in my eyes are, as we Jamaicans would say, are the walkless type. Okay, it doesn't make a difference how much money they got. Although saying that, to be honest with you, there are children out there in homes and things like that, and they do need parents, foster parents. So provided those shallow women have a partner, have another man that's there, because this is the whole point of it, is can a woman take on a child by herself knowing that the father isn't going to be there? So provided that celebrity woman has the foundations there, not so much the money, more or less the male and the father role, then as for children in homes, that's something entirely different. But this is not what we're really talking about. What we're really talking about is when you got some spoiled little brat that's 19 years old and now wants to get pregnant by some dude that she knows isn't going to be there in the long run. Some of these women as well, whether they're broken or not broken, don't mind pushing onto guys, which leads me into the side of the men as well. Don't mind saying to guys, no, don't wear a condom, you don't need to wear a condom, because it's really easy for a woman to go out there and have a one-night stand. Really easy. Go back to some guy's house, have sex with him, tell him not to use the condom or whatever, or have sex with him the first time, remove the condom the second time. It's a lot more easy for women to do that, as opposed to, like, if we go back to the incel video, some guys are 40-year-old virgins. It doesn't work that way. Whereas it doesn't make a difference how bad this woman looks. If she wants a one-night stand, she simply click her fingers, it's there. Because there's many guys out there that are desperate, lonely, again, that will sleep with anything. And to want me to be honest with you, like I said, going back to when I was, say, 20, maybe 22, 23, my super, you know, if we go back to me at 16, I was like, listen, listen, if she don't look this way, she don't look that way, I ain't touching her, I ain't even looking at her, yeah? No, you really think I'd be seen with something like that? When certain girls were coming up to me, I was on my high horse, and I was like, you know what, I wouldn't look at you twice, I don't think so, people are going to laugh at me. I look back now and think, damn, if I would have had a woman like that now, or a girl like that now, I'd be laughing. I was pushing them away, because I didn't realise that, I just didn't realise I'd say the nature of women, and I'd say the nature of London, UK, the mentality of the women here. I didn't realize that. So it would have been very easy for me to have gone out into a nightclub, and maybe even some half, maybe a 5 out of 10 suddenly says to me, come back to my house, or I'll come back to your house, and I maybe even have a condom in the drawer, and she says, don't use a condom because it feels better when you don't have one. It feels so much better. And I'm like, I would have said, yeah, you're right. Okay, sure. And it would have been easy for her to have had sex with me and then never given me some sort of false number and disappeared into the night, never to be seen again. It would have been very easy. It would have been very easy for me to probably even have found a woman that had low self-esteem and blatantly told me she wanted to have my child and all of that. At that age there, 17, 18, 19, I probably still would have said, I would have been cautious because I wasn't stupid at age. I would have said, I don't think so. I would have probably maybe had sex with her without a condom and then pulled out. But those women, they're not stupid. They know if they continuously have sex with you without a condom, the chances of it happening. So the point I'm trying to make is, you look at it from the male side, there's also vulnerable men that are handing out children to these women. And then there's these kind of bum men that I don't want to, that are just recklessly having kids out there. That's the best way to put it to you, recklessly having them. And I'm trying to be kind of, I don't want to be harsh on certain men out there. I want to be kind of, there are some men that are bum men. It's as simple as that. They're recklessly having kids. And then there's other men where, again, like I described in my previous video, they've become reckless. So they're not in their right frame of mind. Maybe their dad had X amount of kids, and they seem to think it's okay. They've had no foundations, basically. No one's told them that, listen, that you can't do these things. So they're just doing it, recklessly going out there. So now that we've understood the justifications for why some vulnerable teenage men might be handing out kids, and the justification as to why certain women out there are out there seeking children, knowing the father aren't going to be around. So there's justifications as to why the men may be doing it, and justifications as to why the women may be doing it. Okay, women, it's down to the loneliness. They now want a child, so someone that's going to love them unconditionally, always be there for them, not just pump and dump, not just be like a bad father, not just be like a two-faced friend that's just using them when they're lonely. Someone that really cares. But here's the thing, I'm going to do this all in one video, and I'm going to sum it up now. Is it okay for a woman to have a child knowing the father's going to be there? And the answer is hell no. It doesn't make a difference how nice, because I keep hearing, oh yeah, but she's the nicest person in the world. Or I was speaking to one woman, she said, no, but I don't think you understand. I work, and my child will never go without. And you know what, I 100% believe what you're saying. I do 100% believe what you're saying. If we go back to the song Brenda's Got a Baby, again, she had no choice. Her stepfather was impregnated her. She doesn't have a choice. But is it okay? The answer is no, it's not okay. Unfortunately, there is evil in this world, but when you bring a child into the world, it needs both sides. It needs the mother and it needs the father. It needs a total package in order to be full, in order to be whole, whether it be a female or whether it be a male. Because some women think, oh, just because I'm raising a girl, so I can teach her everything. You can't. The father has a certain part to play in that as well. He gives her half, you give her half, and that makes them complete. You raising a boy, in my eyes, is a big no-no as well. 100% disagree with that, but it has nothing to do with how nice you are. It really doesn't. But I understand that circumstances happen. Sometimes, relationships don't work, or the guy disappears. It's his problem. Or for the guys, sometimes she's chased you off. She's chased you off with all that kind of madness. Plus, she was cheating on you. All of these things just cause you to not live with the woman. You can't. She's got your child, but you don't want to live with her. But all I'm saying to these people out there, all I'm saying to people basically teenagers especially, is that be careful when you're allowing a child to be brought into the world with one parent, because if you go back to my emotions versus willpower, that's what's going to happen. It's going to cause devastation, and it's going to cause a continuous circle of pain and suffering for that child. There might be the odd one or two children that still come out of it successful. They're on TV, they're superstars, they're public speakers, they're untouched. But how many other children has it devastated? Anyway, this is your boy Perfection. I hope you enjoyed the video. Respect women. Respect your mother, regardless of the situation. But real is real, okay? Don't bring children into the world if you know that the two of you aren't going to be there in the long run for your child. Peace.